Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Daily. This is the West Ham Network. If you are new around here, please make sure you do go and hit that cheeky subscribe button. We're on the march towards 20,000 subscribers. All you need to do is click that subscribe button. Also, go along beside it. There's a bell notification. If you click that bell notification, that will notify you when our shows all go live. We are bringing you regular content, transfer rumours, and listen, the stipulation is that we are telling you what these players could bring to the club if the link is true, and potentially if that link isn't true, then we would eradicate the rumor. But we will talk about the player potentially and see what they could bring to the club. But this is a bit of a different video today. This is a different daily take. It's an opinion piece again, which I'm kind of enjoying doing actually more. And there's news coming out of the club every single day. And sometimes it's good news, sometimes it's bad news. And I don't know how you want to take this piece of news today, but it came out yesterday that Stuart Pearce has officially stepped down from his role as first team coach at West Ham. The former player has worked with West Ham for the last 2 seasons, following the appointment of David Moyes. And the 60-year-old also worked for the club during the Scotsman's first spell in charge at the London Stadium. Pearce's time at West Ham, where he also spent 2 years as a player, has been a successful one, with the club achieving European qualification in each season. However, despite West Ham enjoying a Europa League semi-final appearance this term, the ex-player has decided to leave his current coaching role. And he went on to say it's with a heavy heart that he made this decision to leave West Ham. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to work at the club over the past 2 years, but I've decided that now is the right time to step away and pursue other opportunities and challenges. Moyes went on to speak and praised Pearce's contributions during his time at the club. He said, "We thank Stuart for the hard work and dedication over the past 2 years." And he said, "It's been a great help to myself and the team, and a popular figure who will miss around the training ground. On behalf of all the players and the staff, I wish him every success in the future." Now, you can't help but think that maybe he's got something else lined up. I know Nottingham Forest are in the playoff finals coming up, and maybe there's something happening there. He's obviously the ex-legend of Nottingham Forest. So I don't know what the situation is. Maybe he's got something lined up with England because he's got such a big, summer on the lead up to the World Cup in the winter this year. So I think the world's his oyster. I think it's going to be a big miss for West Ham. And this really has got me thinking about the summer transfer window. It's not just on the field that West Ham need to do great business on, but it's also off the field. Pearce stepping down in his role, as did Alan Irvine last year, has left Moyes short of men that he trusts with every inch of his coaching life. Guys that have been pivotal, you could say, as to why West Ham have gone from strength to strength. And we all know we need to strengthen this summer on the field. The players have looked knackered as of late, and I know, listen, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Sometimes you can't help yourself and say, if we bought him, what if we brought Lingard in? What happens if he'd have came to the club? I mean, it is a tough ask living in this world that is, And I mean, the performance versus Brighton, it was so below par that Moyes even had extreme tough words to say with regards to that game. He went on and he said, "They know I am not happy. I don't care if it's the first or last game. They have to perform in all games, and I'm not happy with that performance today. If we play like that, then we'll be challenging at a different part of the table." And there have been a few occasions this season when David Moyes has been open and honest about his team's performance, and often produces a reaction from the players. But this time they have a long, long summer to reflect on Moyes' choice of words. Moyes has made fewer changes to starting 11 than any other Premier League manager this season. He is ranked 20th in that department. The manager refused to say whether fatigue was a factor in West Ham's stumbling form towards the latter stages of the season, believing it would also serve as an excuse for his players. But the lack of game changers from the bench surely hasn't helped our cause. He went on and he said, "I'm not really bothered what the players' mood is, but you can tell what my mood is like, and I'm hoping my mood is reflecting on how they react and feel. He added, we want them to have a good holiday, but I also want them to understand you have to play well all the games. People will remember your last game. I wanted to win the Europa League and I wanted to finish in the Champions League spots. Of course, we'll remember the last game. We do remember the last game of most of the seasons we've been in. And that performance against Brighton did feel like we had solidified and secured our European position, but there was an opportunity to go one position up and go into a stronger European competition, and we didn't do it. The heads were on the beach. Moyes added that he was pleased a lot of things this year. There's a lot of things that we've done really well and roughly consolidating a lot of things we did last year, but we didn't play well and we didn't look like the West Ham team in the second half. Really disappointed. No resilience, no toughness. We didn't show any real desire to make it hard for them to score against us, and that doesn't make for success if you concede goals like this. So Moyes is already, and I'm going to talk about an interview he did earlier in the year where he was talking about not getting the right deals over the line. But take ourselves back to the summer of 2016, the last ever farewell Boleyn year, the great win against Manchester United at home, the last game ever at Upton Park. And then the next day, I'll never forget this, David Moyes decides to do, I think Sky spent the whole day at Upton Park the next day, and David Moyes was there and he was talking about we've made big world record or club records bids for players, which subsequently ended up being the likes of Lacazette and Batshuayi were the two players that were linked with us. And then what we did was we brought in the likes of Gokhan and Nordveit. And it was such an underwhelming season, the first season in the new stadium. And that's what we want to avoid again. But the point I'm trying to make is that summer was West Ham's biggest summer in our modern history in order for us to make the leap forward when we moved from Upton Park, having such a good, successful season at Upton Park, to then progress again and make that next step up. But what we did was we brought bodies in rather than quality. We brought quantity over quality, and that was the biggest mistake that we made. Gokhan, Nordveits, Faguli, and Zaha, just to name, Zaza, just to name a few. And that is not what we want to do. And this is why I'm suggesting that this summer is the biggest since 2016, because look at how we have progressed, consolidating again for the second year in a row, got players like Declan Rice under our belt, players like Jared Bowen under our belt. We need to strengthen. It's pivot. It's the most important thing we do this summer is go and strengthen 100%. David Moyes spoke to Standard Sport back in January, and he struggled to make, as we did struggle to make signings, and he said that he may elect to save the money and go big in the summer instead. And he said things like, why do I want to waste any money? I would rather keep it and pay bigger for someone next summer, this summer coming, if I had to, rather than waste it on someone I might not use at the moment. And as West Ham fans know all too well, the January transfer window closed and we never brought a player through the door. And we know that we had so much to play for in the second half of the season. And in subsequent interviews, he spoke to Alan Shearer with the Evening Standard, and he made it very clear that West Ham are in for a big rebuild this summer. He said, I need to keep adding good players, which is part of the club's responsibility to keep with it. We've got to be careful and not think this is it. We've gone straight up and that's where we're staying. It's going to take a lot of work even to stay where we are because the quality in the Premier League at the moment is through the roof. He said, my own worry is how we keep going for the next few years, how I build on it, how I keep growing on it. On and off the pitch, things will be broken. And this is the key part here. And we'll have to try and fix it. Certainly, Mark Noble leaving will be one of them. We've got to fight on and we need to find a way of keeping strong for next year. He says, I see new players. I see a stronger squad. I see a change of guard in some places because of what's happening at the club. But that will be normal. And we do have to make changes in the summer. We do need to look at how to move forward again. It's as if Moyes knew that some of these big changes were happening. He said this back in January. Changes in the guard were coming and he knew it. It was as if Pierce had already said, listen, I'm here to the end of the summer. And then the world's my oyster. And you need to start making plans. He's already alluded to the fact in press conferences that he's already thinking 6 months to a year ahead. And we've only got to believe that that is what he's done. I wouldn't be surprised if he has. I'm seeing stuff online just now saying he's not identified his targets. Don't believe that for 1 second. I do believe he has identified targets. And I do believe that he is not going to bring people in for the sake of it. They have to pass his characteristic test, but he will bring people in 100%. I am that confident. I really am that confident. And then expectations were high following the arrival of the Czech billionaire Daniel Kretinsky as the club's second biggest shareholder, and Rob Newman from Man City ahead of as head of recruitment as well. So of course these things are going to be, licking the lips of West Ham fans, making us think about what the future is. And you can't help but feel a little bit disappointed so far. But that doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen. And I do think they are going to happen this year. West Ham fans have been hugely disappointed by the lack of business in the winter window and will be even more expectant this summer, especially with what we have heard David Moyes saying. So on that, let's take a look at the summer transfer window and how many signings potentially in what positions that are needed by David Moyes. So who is leaving or likely to be leaving? As we know, the man himself, the legend, Mr. Mark Noble, 550 games for the club, has officially retired from the game. There you go, centre midfielder, gone, done, dusted, gutted, but he has gone, and that is one position we'll definitely need to bring in and fell from there. Yarmolenko said his goodbyes, has put it out all over social media. He's out of contract, and that is not getting renewed. We're expecting that Ryan Fredericks is also going to be out of contract and is also unlikely to be renewed. And there are quite a lot of rumours kicking about saying that he may go back to Fulham. You've got Alex Kroll with an expiration of his loan deal. We don't really know what's going to happen with him. I mean, I would be absolutely shocked if we kept him on any further than what's happened than the deal, because he didn't feature at all much over the season. Arthur Masuaku, apparently he's not in West Ham's and David Moyes' plans. He's to be sold. He's still got time on his contract left. So we'll be listening to offers for Masuaku as well. So that you could potentially say that there's 5 guaranteed squad positions. I would say that they're the kind of guaranteed. There's maybe more players we could talk about, but there's 5 players that we're down on an already thin squad that we need to bring in. On top of that, we're losing one of our first team coaches as well. Which players are coming towards the end of, the not too distant future of their contracts or the end of their careers? You've got Ogbonna. He's got 1 more year left, but he is 34 years old and he is recovering from a very serious injury. I mean, I was never at the start always Angelo Ogbonna's biggest fan, but he did like grow on me and obviously became one of the strongest players for West Ham in defence. However, he has got, I mean, the rumour is that we're going to give him a 1 year contract, but he is coming back from such a serious injury. Next up is Fabianski. He's got 1 more year potentially on his contract, but he is 37 years old as well. Will he be number 1 or the cup keeper next season? We'll have to wait and see. Vlasic, I mean, is he to be sold? Is he to be loaned? We've spent a lot of money on this guy and he's not really turned up yet, but that is sometimes David Moyes' way. But in a World Cup year, I can see West Ham potentially looking at consolidating and losing some money on him and potentially selling him. Or he could go out on loan, giving him, an option to go and play and potentially get himself onto that plane to go to Qatar for the World Cup for Croatia. You've got Aaron Creswell, who's been a brilliant servant for West Ham. And he's found his form, but he does need increased competition or someone that could potentially come in and start to take over that position at left back. You've got Areola's, expiration of his loan, but West Ham are looking at the option to buy and potentially looking like we will bring him in on a permanent deal. And I'll talk about him more in a little minute. Declan Rice, I mean, it looks like he's going to stay for another year, which would be fantastic, at least. And it gives us an opportunity to progress and bring these players in. And I think that is really, really key for West Ham moving forward. You've got Issa Diop. Is it likely that he will be sold with interest from lots of clubs in France? So there's question marks over whether or not David Moyes actually fancies him or not. You've got Lanzini. There's rumours are kicking about saying that he may want to head back to Argentina to head closer to home. You've got Darren Randolph denied a move back in January, and he's got one more year left at the club. I mean, I'm not really too sure what's going to happen with these kind of players, but I've named you the best part of 10 players there, 5 which I'm pretty adamant will be going, and there's another 5 that may go or may stay. But that's 5 players down on what we already have got. And Noble said himself in his parting message to West Ham owners that the club is already 3 players short as things stand before impending departures. With everyone fit, up front, a left back and a centre midfielder is something that we definitely need. We've got the young players though that could potentially step into the equation, and where will they feature next season? We've got Armstrong Ogilflex, Connor Coventry, AGLSA, Jamal Baptiste, Sonny Perkins, Dan Chesters, and I've only put a few images of the players there on the screen, and they could be kept around as part of the squad, but it could be argued in many cases that they may be best suited to go out on loan and may do some of them really, really good. This summer is probably make or break for Connor Coventry, though. He wants to break into the first team squad, and Noble's departure could give him a big chance after his impressive spell at the MK Dons, but we do know there's a huge difference at that level compared to the Premier League. With 6 players, potentially, or 5 players look set to be leaving, at least 3 first-team potential current players are aging and may not be able to be the solid starters in the side. Moyes will need a minimum, you could say, of 5 to 6 first-team players. You could even go as far as saying 8 or 9, but I don't think we'll go that far. I really don't think we'll go that far. And Noble has said it himself, we're short in these departments, and we have to remain competitive domestically and in Europe for us to progress. That's the key part. We've got the goalkeeper, as I've mentioned to you several times before, Areola. Is he going to be signing permanent? He's 29. It could be West Ham's number 1 for the next 5 or 6 years. If he does not sign, then we'll have to look elsewhere. But we must sign another goalkeeper. Nick Pope could be the standout goalkeeper. Burnley have gone down, and he looks like a good young England international. He is an England international goalkeeper. A new left back is needed, and in truth, Creswell's days at West Ham potentially could be starting to look numbered until he was rejuvenated under Moyes. And he's been a great servant, more than the usual squad player can give. And he can also play in a makeshift centre-back position. But West Ham do need, a position there, someone to come in and take that as well. But for me, I think when it comes to things like Areola, money is going to play the object in this. It's his weekly wage as well. That's going to be another issue. But you've got first-team players that are potentially heading out the door. We've got about 1 million transfer targets that me, Russ, and all the other YouTube channels talk about, but we need to bring these players in. And there's a rumoured £150 million budget for David Moyes, and that will certainly be needed. 100% that will be needed. And West Ham fans will expect to start to see the benefits of what David Moyes and Rob Newman have actually been doing behind the scenes. We've got potentially some money coming in from the Kretinsky money, so we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. And it's a pivotal period for Moyes and Rob Newman, the new head of recruitment. He's not new anymore. He's been around for such a long time. And we're going to have to hope that Kretinsky's investment will increase their spending power. Moyes is building West Ham. I totally believe that. And West Ham are moving in the right direction. But this summer is the biggest summer West Ham have had since 2016 in order for us to progress, because we've consolidated and now we need to progress. There's no ifs or buts about it. So the pressure is on, but that's good. And Moyes talks about having the pressure on, and Moyes likes when the pressure is on. So fingers crossed we can do it. This is the biggest summer since 2016. Mark my words. Moyes will sort out the staffing issues in the background. He'll bring in some replacements. Maybe you'll see players like ex-pros like Steve Potts make the step up. You've got Jack Collinson over in America. He may come back to the club. We've already got a load of ex-pros sitting there kicking about that are already getting involved. Maybe Mark Noble. You never know. You never, ever know. If you're new around here, please make sure you do subscribe to the show. I hope you've enjoyed that bit of a little, opinionated piece. I've enjoyed it. It's good getting some stuff off your chest as well. But I have the faith. I really do have the faith. We do need a minimum of 4 or 5, well, 5 bodies, I'm going to say. And I think we'll bring in them. I think we'll bring in 2 or 3 very quickly. I think you're going to have to consider Areola as one of them potentials as well. And I think the world could be our oyster if we bring in the right players with the right characteristics and fit them into this squad mentality, because it will be it's going to be hard to break the squad mentality. And as long as we've got the right players coming in, then the world is our oyster. Anyway, like I said, if you are new around here, please do hit that subscribe button. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Please leave a comment as well. It's really key. If you want to become a channel member, you can click the join option on the membership program. I want you all to stay safe. Join me at 5 p.m. for the Hammers headlines. I'll see you then. Stay safe. Come on, you Irons.
It's like a family tree, all of you.